start recording this, and as we continue, I'll allow people to come in. We obviously will be recording this, and like I said, we will be posting this on Facebook and YouTube. So if you kind of want to go back and catch some of the stuff you missed, or if it was super helpful and you want to share it with somebody, awesome. We would love for you to do that. And let's see, basically we wanted to, we love bringing you guys webinars. Our goal is to invest, not just supporting you with transaction management, but we want to invest in your business. And so, a lot of us, that as we talk to our agents and stuff right now, of course, what are we hearing? Like, I need listings, I need different ways to find listings. And so that was just the common thread we heard from so many, because yes, you probably have a pocket full of buyers. The listings are the harder ones to find, yet we all know listings are what's going to drive the business. So we wanted to invest in you guys. So that's why we are bringing this webinar to you today. And so we have asked Debbie Zalatuga is going to join us, and we wanted her to be able to kind of share with us on this very topic. So Debbie has many years of experience in real estate in many different facets. She's actually now coaching as well. And she and her team are coaching some of the top agents in the area. And so I went to her and said, Debbie, we need this. I want to invest back in my agents. Can you come on? Can you share some golden nuggets? Because guys, if you've been in the business for a red hot minute, maybe you're not sure what to do, or maybe you've been in for a little while and you just need to be reminded of something else or something different. What else is working for some agents? So I asked her to go ahead and teach that to us today. I will be putting her contact information in the chat window in just a little bit, and then towards the end. So I'm going to go ahead and release the floor to her. Thank you so much, Debbie, for being a part of this. And she's going to go ahead and take the floor for about 30 minutes, and then we will open up for questions. So thanks, Debbie.
Hey, thanks for having me. Welcome, everybody. I'm excited you're here. To plus what Tammy said about, listings drive the business. In 2022 specifically, listings will keep you in the business because the inventory is going to stay tight. Buyers, you're going to continue to work with buyers. They're going to take 10 offers or 20 offers in order to be able to get something accepted. And so if we spend a lot of our time focusing on buyers, we're going to be spending even more time because the listing inventory is not predicted to open up at all. We can hope if they raise interest rates, when they raise interest rates, that will slow the buyers down a bit to allow for some listing inventory to accumulate. But most economists aren't really predicting that to happen until the end of 2022. So for the remainder of this year, we will be spinning our wheels with buyers, and those agents that make a real hard pivot to a listing strategy, whether you've done it before or whether you're just embracing it now, those agents that make a hard pivot for listings will be the agents that not thrive, but survive. I study the market all the time. I look at what the numbers are doing, no matter where you are in the country. I know what's happening in your market. The inventory is getting tighter and tighter. There are less and less units available. However, the economists all predict that there will be a normal demand for buyers this year. In a survey done by, I don't know who, but a survey was done asking buyers and sellers if they plan on buying and selling in 2022. And 6 to 7% of the respondents said yes. Well, that's a normal number. 6 or 7% is a normal number. So our buyer demand and our seller demand is going to be the same. The question is, which side of the business are you going to work in? Are you going to work on the buyer side and submit 10 contracts to get one offer accepted, or are you going to work on the seller side and have it go under contract in 3 days or 3 weeks, right? So those agents that really make the hard pivot for listings in 2022 will be the ones that survive. I actually predict in the next 2 years, a significant amount of agents are going to get out of the business, because if you are a buyer heavy person and you spend the next 2 years focusing on buyers, you're going to spend a lot of time showing property and not getting offers accepted. In the old days, writing an offer on paper took like 3 hours. Luckily, we can write an offer in about 20 minutes. on our digital software. So making offers for buyers is no longer significant. However, now we're waiting for properties to come on the market to be able to go and show them to our buyers. So gone are the days where there's 15 to 20 properties that match your buyer. You can go out 1 or 2 weeks and find a property and get it under contract. So listings are really going to be key for this year. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. You're going to have to give me a second to set up the start animation slideshow from the beginning. Listing strategies. I just wanted to real quick, just a quote. So Dave Jenks was a big real estate trainer for a lot of years. And he taught a lot of agents how to be really successful in business and just passed away last year. And he has a quote: true entrepreneurs have a work ethic that won't quit. And when they need to show up, they show up. It doesn't matter if it's the weekend or the night or whatever, they show up. So they put in the effort and the work in the front end in order to get the wealth and the freedom in the back end. So many of you top agents that are on this call, most successful agents spend 5 years or so really prospecting hard to build their foundation of their business. And then once their foundation is built, they still prospect. It's a little easier because they have repeat and referral people that start coming back. After 5 years, the people they sold year 1 start to now want to sell. So it's not like you have to really drive for years and years and years. You need to drive for a couple of years and set up that foundation. And I know that most agents haven't set up a listing business. And so that's what we want to help you with today. Tammy introduced me. I'm a coach. My partner's Curtis Tyree. That's our website. We don't really need to talk about that. So the question is, what is your plan? And are you prepared for the next market? The next market is this market, right? Last year, we were crazy with buyers, but we could still get our buyers under contract. And I'm sure most of you experienced as 2021 came to an end, getting those contracts accepted got harder and harder, more and more multiple offers. And it's predicted that 2022 is going to be the same way or worse. So what's your plan? Right? Here's the thing, and Tiffany knows what my most favorite thing to say is: everything works. Everything works. Everything can get you to that next level. However, working with only buyers might not work in 2022. And so a framework that I like to talk about with agents when they're looking at lead generation options, whether it's buyers or sellers or just building your business, I like to talk about the three-legged stool. Many agents choose one lead source and they don't diversify. And in my experience, the most successful agents have a three-legged stool. They have 3 ways they get their business. So my challenge is to you in this call, when we talk about these listing strategies, write down the ones that resonate for you. Just write them down, jot down the listing strategies that stick out. And by the end of this call, I'm going to ask you to pick 3. And I want you to go all in on 2022 on those 3. And I want you to actually turn a blind eye to all the others. They all work. Social media works. Door knocking works, cold calling works, doing open houses to secure listings works, calling your sphere works, calling expireds works, buying leads to get buyers. 65% of buyers, we'll talk about this, 65% of buyers have a home to sell before they can buy. So if you buy leads and you get these buyers, make sure you don't miss out on that opportunity, whether they live in this area or a different area, to see if you could secure a referral option. So my challenge today is for you to identify 3 lead sources and then commit to them in 2022. So the first one, no brainer, sphere of influence, right? It's the people not in your database, not in your database. It's the people in your phone. It's the people in your phone. I'm going to ask you to write down a note to yourself. Find out how many people are in your phone. not now, because I want to get through these listing strategies, but find out how many people are in your phone. For an iPhone, you can just scroll to the bottom, the number when you open up your contacts, and you can get the number. For Android, you have to go to menu and then something, and that's the way you can get, and then it's all contacts, right? And you'll get to your number. Take that number, don't do it now, take that number, divide by 6. That's just statistically the amount of people that are going to buy or sell real estate this year. And then I want you to take that number that you got. By the way, I have 6,000 people in my phone, divided by 6 is 1,000 people. So 1,000 people in my phone are going to buy or sell real estate. The question is, are they going to use you? 1,000 people. Now but I have a lot of vendors. I have a lot of other real estate agents. Great. Let's knock out 30% for people that are in the business or related to the business that might not necessarily be a buyer or seller. Let's take out 30%. Let's take out 50% because I got restaurants in there, and I got my housekeeper in there, right? And I have different people in. Let's take out 50%. In my particular case, that's 500 closings that are going to happen in my phone this year. The question is, how are you going to reach them? Are you going to call or text? Call is better. Are you going to email? And here's what you ask them. Are you going to plan? Are you selling in 2022? Are you thinking about selling for top dollar? One is asking about their motivation to buy or sell. The other one is asking about whether they want to capture this high market. Now, I hear agents all the time, but I don't know what to say. I'm going to give you a really simple script. Hey, Mary, I haven't talked to you in for ages. Let me just ask you, how have you navigated these last 2 years? And what's up with you? Fantastic. Listen, it was great catching up. Yeah, real estate's going great. I don't know if you know, but right now the real estate market is crazy. You wouldn't know anybody that wants to sell, would you? I'm working with a ton of buyers, and we're looking for houses. You don't know anybody that wants to sell, do you? It's as simple as that. Now I hear what you're saying. My people live in another state. Okay, so if they live in another state, I don't know if you know, but the real estate market is real crazy here. I'm sure it's crazy there. You wouldn't know anybody that wants to sell, do you? Now, Mary's going to say, well, why are you asking? Well, I have great referral partners all over the country, and I can find a really talented agent to help you in the area that you live or someone that you know. Then get on the phone and go find somebody. Now, thank you so much for attending my TED Talk. That's the end of this presentation. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But Sphere, I hear people all the time saying, but where do I find listings? In your phone. Because by the way, they're exclusive to you. They're your friends. Now I hear some of you saying, but yeah, they have other agent friends. Guess what? Your agent friends aren't calling the people in their phone. So they're actually exclusive to you. So if you just figured out, how do I have a conversation with the people in my phone? I promise you, you will find more business and more listings than you can shake a stick at. I know you didn't come to this listing presentation for that. So we will give you about 19 other ideas. The golden letter. If you don't know what the golden letter is, it's basically a letter that is kind of what I just talked about, the conversation, but it's mailed out to a local area. By the way, you can go in, usually your property appraiser's website, and pull addresses and it's just a cold letter. If you don't know what the golden letter is, reach out through the people that are in the business that you know. Everybody's got a copy. And it just says, hey neighbor, listings are crazy. We're working with a lot of buyers. We can't find them. Do you want to help a local family? Are you interested in selling? Call me. Statistic is about 1 for every 100 listing, right? And those are specifically looking for listings. So the golden letter is an idea. Divorce attorneys, calling them up and saying, because guess what? Those are also captured leads, because they go to their divorce attorney before they decide to sell their house. So how many divorce attorneys would you have to call in order to find one that wants to, you know, share leads with you? I don't know, 1, 10, 50? I promise you, if you reach out, you can find a couple that you can build relationships with. And those listings are way in advance, right? That's a longer term strategy. It's still a good one. Create an event, live or virtual. I just was listening to Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blount again this morning on the way into the office. And he said the fastest way to get people to know, like, and trust you is to talk to them. And the best way to do that is to be a speaker at your Chamber of Commerce, at the local economic development, at Kiwanis, or to create your own event, because people instantly give you credibility and value when you are the speaker. Here's 2 ideas: a senior seminar from big house to small house, and then a smart owners seminar, which is how to sell high and buy low, right? Video interviews of local business owners. This is actually one of my favorites. If I moved to a new geographic area that I did not live previously, this is what I would do to build my real estate business. I would go out and I would interview business owners and I would share them to my Facebook page. And then I would ask the business owner to share to their Facebook page, right? So I would provide value to the business owner by saying, hey, I'm going to share you, and then get them to post on their social media, and then ask them if they hear of anybody that wants to buy and sell to call you. Or ask them in the video if they'd be willing to give you an endorsement. Now, if you have a relationship with the business owner, yes. If you don't have a relationship with the business owner, they probably will not give you that endorsement right away. But that's 2 ways that you can use videos of local business owners to find business. A video of you asking, are you thinking of selling, right? This is just think Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, to post that onto social media or to send it out to your database. Now, the reason I like video is because when people can see you and your emotion, whether it's even a video that's out to your database, right? Hey, if you're thinking of selling this year, we're working with lots of buyers. It's kind of a personal version of that golden letter. We're working with lots of buyers. There's not a lot of inventory. Sellers are able to sell for a high price in this market. And if you're struggling with where will I go? Where will I go if I sell high? Get with the leaders in your community and get some help on overcoming that objection. It's really easy to overcome, right? Seller leaseback, right? Sellers have all the power right now. They can ask for a seller leaseback and buyers will do whatever they want. Airbnb, right? Or some sort of short-term rental, or staying with family or friends, right? There's just lots of opportunities to overcome that, right? So, and of course you get to sell quickly without the hassle. Smile and dial, and this is related to like cold calling or, right? And it's being good at, does cold calling work? Yes, it's a numbers game. It is a longer term plan, meaning you might, you talk to people, you add them to your database and you follow up. But I know people that have built their businesses on all these methods. All of them have built their business on these methods. So they all work. The question is, which of these ideas resonate with you? Could be for sale by owners, could be expired, and absolutely should be your database. The key is to practice what you're going to say. Because I speak with agents all the time that say, well, I don't know how to call the people I know and ask for business. Well, I hate to say this, but that's probably the easiest place that you can get business. So figure it out. Like, learn how to do that. Learn how to make that call. Same thing with cold calling lists or calling expireds. It's a skill. It's a skill that you can master. Online leads are secret sellers. I alluded to this earlier. If you buy leads or you get some sort of online lead source, 65%, I didn't make up that number, 65%, a study was just done, 65% have a home to sell. Are you asking them, great, you're looking for a house, do you have a home to sell before you buy? And if you do, oh my God, I have relationships all over the world, I can help you find an amazing agent. So online leads are secret sellers. Do the Facebook or Instagram line in front of your sold signs. I see many of you doing that already. Again, that is a credibility piece. When I said that when you speak in front of people, they start to hold you in high esteem. So doing Facebook or Instagram lives in front of a sold sign projects to the people that you know that you are an expert. However, that's only one part of that listing strategy. You then have to have a follow-up strategy or a strategy of reaching out to your social media contacts to look for business, right? You can't just do that and say, okay, I'm going to wait for the listings to fall. It needs to have a second part of that that is looking for the business, right? Asking for a business either through direct messages or through phone calls or things like that. Build a referral network or warm up one that you have. Again, a long-term strategy. There are ways, and I don't know whether it's through the census or there are some moving van companies that do data analysis of where people are moving in and out of, right? Which counties in the United States are moving into your county? And which counties in the United States are moving out? Like, where are they going out of your county? And then developing referral networks for people, potentially in the county that the seller here is moving to, right? So that you have the opportunity to capture business on referral as well. One of my dream businesses that I always wanted an agent to launch was a referral only business, meaning you didn't actually do the work. You actually were good at finding buyers and good at finding sellers and good at setting up referral partners. And you just collected the referral fee. You didn't actually show homes or list them. I think that's a good idea, right? Of doing no work and just connecting two people. I have not seen an agent do that by referral. I know Brian Buffini talks about by referral only, but I don't see agents only building a business that's referral only. Great idea though. Having referral competition with your sphere of influence or your database or your social media, right? So offering some big sort of Yeti prize or iPad or something like that, they have to call you, right? I'm running a referral competition. Everybody that calls me with a referral lead gets entered for this really cool prize. And you do it for 30 days and you post on social media, like you send it out to your database. And you run a competition. That way the leads come to you without you kind of going out to find them. Door knock for your buyers. A lot of agents are forced to do this already, but it's a great way to find listings. If you do have buyers that can't find a house, go door knock in neighborhoods that you've shown them and look for sellers. Maybe your buyer will buy that house, or maybe you'll just get a listing that gets sold by someone else, right? But hey, I have a buyer. We looked at the property next door. Do you want to sell, or do you know anybody that wants to sell? I'm looking for a home for my buyer. Now, maybe that's not a good fit, but you get to find listings to add to your business. Facebook and Instagram polls. But here's the key. And I see agents do this and I don't see them follow. You have to message the people that respond to the poll. You have to message them. Do you want to buy? Do you want to sell? What are your buying or selling goals for 2022? You have to then direct message each of the respondents to build that relationship to take it to the next step. Radio advertising, it's not something that everyone thinks of. I absolutely, in my market though, hear agents on the radio. You know, the expensive popular radios are going to be more expensive, but you can sometimes get some radio spots for pretty cheap on the not as popular radio stations. And the message is, hi, my name's Debbie. I'm a local real estate expert. And right now we're working with a lot of buyers and we're struggling to find houses for them. You know, do you want to sell your house for top dollar? Here's my phone number. So it's similar to that golden letter, that saying you want to specifically mention that you're looking for sellers. You'll get buyer calls, but you want to specifically mention that you're looking for sellers. Farming. And yet your farming has to be a commitment to 12 touches over a year. It works. It's a longer term strategy. So I recommend if you're choosing a three-legged stool, you can choose all short-term strategies, but you may want to choose one long-term strategy, but you got to be able to commit to the 12 touches over a year. And it would be helpful if you were willing to get in there and door knock at some point to get in front of those people and not have it be just passive. But it will work, provided your touches over 12 months have strong calls to action. Call now for a free market analysis. Call now to find out what's going on in your neighborhood, right? As long as now I'm going to assume postcards. As long as your postcards have call to action, you will get people calling you, but it's a longer term strategy. Adopt or buy a retiring agent's business. Who in your market is getting ready to retire, getting out of the business? And can you get them to do a handoff communication, which says, hey, I'm getting ready to retire. Tammy's an amazing agent. She's actually really talented. And I've looked around to find great agents. And she, you know, I've chosen her to help you with your real estate needs. There has to be a handoff, right? And if you're going to buy the database, then get with someone that's experienced in doing those negotiations to make sure that you're buying a valuable database, a database that's warm and not a database that's cold. Sphere of influence. Oh, wait, that was the first one. We're back here because this one's so important, right? This one is the one that if you committed to adopting this year, you might actually not need any other sources next year. So I just wanted to come back full circle because it's the least tapped leg of the stool that's the easiest to get to and the best return that I don't see agents using. So I know that was rapid fire. I hope you wrote down 3 in the chat. Write down the 3 that you wrote down, or the top 3. You can change your mind later. But what were the top 3 that you wrote down as we went through those rapid fire ideas? So does that mean none of you are going to take action? Does that mean you were just here listening?
I know Debbie well enough to know that she will sit in the silence, so I will chime in. The divorce attorney one was new. I never thought to get in good with a divorce attorney or a couple to help their clients.
Right. Now you have to have kind of a thick skin because that may be a little bit of a bumpy listing. However, it could be a list and 2 buys.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking too. I was like, oh, that's multiple transactions if I can tough it out.
It could be a list and 2 buys. And hey, you know, the attorney's handling the negotiation. You just have to keep saying, listen, I get it. You're upset, right? Work this out with your attorney or your therapist or both. I'm here to help you, you know, execute on the sale. I see Juan, he responded, sphere of influence, divorce attorneys.
Video content.
Video content. I love that. Jessica, everybody likes the divorce attorneys.
Mhm.
I have an RSCD designation. I'm going to guess that's a divorce attorney designation. Cool. Didn't know there was one. Sphere in my phone and referral network. Love it. Gwen says open houses, farming, and I can't actually, I'm not scrolling well. I scroll past it as I,
Calling FISBO.
and calling FISBOs.
Mhm.
Social media.
Definitely sphere of influence, obvious, yeah. We've also got sphere of influence, door knocking and referral network. Sphere circle prospecting, video content. Sphere social media posts, direct mail pieces. The one thing I wrote down, Debbie, that, you know, for those of you that are going to contact your sphere and this is what you're committing to, like Debbie said, how many numbers are in your phone? How many closings, literally, how many closings are right there in that phone that we don't think about, right? If we're calling them, and I know a lot of agents are like, well, I don't want to call my friends and ask them for business. Well, darn it, do you think that if you need an HVAC guy that you don't call them and ask them for help? Well, they need referral just as much as you want to refer them. So write down, like Debbie said, how many closings are in your phone right now?
Yeah.
It's a powerful.
And then Lorraine said spheres. I figured out how to make my window bigger so that I could not struggle so much. Sphere, circle prospecting, video contact, sphere, social media polls, and direct mail pieces. You guys are going to make me cry because I've been banging the sphere drum for embarrassingly 10 years. And I rarely do a presentation. Maybe I was more effective now. Maybe it's taken me 10 years to get really good at this. To really get people to embrace that sphere of influence. Listen, if you're nervous about how to have that conversation, find a friend that's committed to sphere and work on it. Go talk to agents that talk to their sphere. Like, become the expert, become the master at that. It's okay if you suck today, but guess what? You can get better. So go find people that are doing it and ask them to help you. Get with a peer or a partner and say, let's be committed together to get good at our sphere and let's hold each other accountable. Yes, if you have people in your phone you haven't talked to in 10 years, you might have to make a call before the call that just says, hey, during the pandemic, I've been thinking about you. I know we haven't talked in 10 years. What's new? And don't talk about real estate. And then schedule a follow-up call for 3 months down the road where you say, hey, what are you up to? I don't know if you know what I'm doing, but I'm doing real estate. And oh my God, the market is crazy and I can't find sellers. You know any? You're not asking them if they want to sell. You're asking them if they know a seller.
Mhm.
It's different. It feels different. You can get good at it. It's okay if you're not get good at it, but you can get better. You can get better.
One thing, Debbie, I've seen a couple people talk about the direct marketing pieces. Our webinar last month was with Colin, and he talked exactly about this. His webinar is on our YouTube channel. And he was talking about farming. There, like Debbie said, there's a right way to do it. There's a wrong way to do it. And it is long-term. It's a long-term game. So if you're just in the real estate market for this year, awesome. But if you want to be in it for long-term and have that residual, like Debbie was talking about, you might want to check that out. It's really, really powerful as well.
Here's the thing. We have an amazing look. This community is all together, giving ideas and suggestions and helping each other. If you're not good at something, you are the CEO of your business. Go find somebody to help you. You don't have to get good on your own. Go find a peer or a mentor or a coach that can help you get to that next level. All of it works. But what I see is that people say, you know, I had a brand new agent one time when I was running a big office that did 10 open houses. And he says, open houses don't work for me. And I said, well, how many people have come through your open houses? He says, well, maybe a total of about 30. Okay, not very many, over 10, which is about 3 per open house. How many of them did you get contact information for? He goes, that's the problem. None. I said, well, why do you think that is? And he says, well, I asked them for their information. They didn't want to give it to me. Do you think you might be able to improve your skill to get them to give you the contact information? And his answer was no. Guess who's not in the business anymore? Right? Because it works. We all know people that have built their business on open houses because they get good at the skill that they're not good at. Lorraine says, as Gary says, she's referencing Gary Keller, it takes hours of practice to become an expert. And when we start something, we feel uncomfortable. And that's normal. The more we do it, the more the uncomfortability fades. So let's open it up to questions, Tammy. And thank you all for still being here. Does anybody have any questions? You can unmute, I think, or you can put it in the chat. So I don't see any questions. So you guys are all ready to go out there and get fired up?
A couple of people asking about the farming, so I'm going to place a link in there as well. But you know, Debbie, I think you asked everybody, like, what are your 3? So I'm just curious, how many of you have written down and committed to 3? We've talked about what they are, but have you written them down and committed to them?
Yeah, so Shannon's asking, is there a recording that where they can view this afterwards?
Yeah, so we'll be recording, we'll be sending this out it will be a link on our Facebook and our YouTube channel. I did put the YouTube channel for the farming webinar that was last month. And to just kind of jump off of that, guys, we want to know, like, we've got amazing experts that we work with and that we're connected with. What else do you want? You know, we wanted to bring Debbie because we knew she could talk to you guys about this hot specific topic. And I feel like, you know, there's so many golden nuggets in what she talked about that you probably do want to go back and relook at them. And in 6 months, listen to this again and look at your notes. What did you commit to? Are you doing?
And I see a question about the golden letter. I'm going to suggest you reach out to Tammy. We'll make sure that she has a copy of the golden letter. Again, it's not rocket science, right? We can give you examples, and yet the key is to actually is to do it, right? To commit to the activity of sending it out consistently. Any 2 new techniques on listing objections. So what sort of listing objections are you talking about? Because the listing objections are the same. I think the newest one is, well, if I sell now, where will I go?
The two
Right.
that I wanted to ask you is, that's the one we always get, and you did give us some good tips. But the second one is more and more, I don't need an agent. I literally can put it on Instagram, on Craigslist, on Facebook, and get enough buyers and get my price. And I go to, are you getting the best price at that point, because you're not fully exposing it to the market? And do you know the paperwork? You know, I mean, we have a bunch of those, but I just would love a refresher as to give me 5 or 6 objection handlers you would come back with on that, because it is relevant right now. The market is so hot with 600. We have 672 available listings in Sarasota County right now at a time where we usually have 10,000. That's the difference in numbers. So if we can't come over that objection, we're not going to get that list.
So a couple of things that are pretty critical, Lorraine, that I see agents when they're asking about helps with script. And I know that thank you for knowing what's happening in the market. What's really important is to have already determined their motivation, because I'll see agents go into a listing presentation where they've not really uncovered the motivation of the seller. So I'm going to assume that you've uncovered what their motivation is. So the first question I'm going to ask is, so Mr. and Mrs. Seller, can you share with me what your risk tolerance level is on a scale of 1 to 10? So when you're doing something that has a level of risk, where do you think you fall? Do you love to just throw caution to the wind and move ahead? Or do you like to have some degree of certainty?
Love that. That's great.
Yeah, Because here's the thing. Are you really, let me ask you another question. And I do all my objection handling by asking questions, all of it.
Mhm.
So let me ask you. So you said your risk tolerance is a 7. You're okay with a little bit of risk. You're okay to go out there. Let me ask you, have you ever seen any reports on lawsuits in real estate where buyers sue sellers? Oh, you haven't. Gosh, I've read hundreds of cases where buyers actually sued sellers. And invariably, it comes from the seller not having the full knowledge. Let me ask you, would you represent yourself in a murder case where you were the murderer? Would you be your own attorney? Why not? Well, because that would open you to liability and risk, and you might not win. It's kind of the same thing, right? I do this all day, every day, and I've done it every day for the last 10 years. I've done hundreds or thousands of real estate closings. I know where the hiccups are. I know where the bumps are. I know where the risks are. And my job is to protect you against all of those things. Now, could you do that? You could. Here's the other thing I know, because I watch the market all the time. Statistically, you may get your full ask price, but I may know that you actually could have raised your ask price by 25 grand, but you didn't know that. So you got your ask price, but you actually left 25 grand on the table. And with as fast as the market's going right now, and oh, by the way, Zillow isn't a good place to go find data. By the way, you probably don't have the most up-to-date data. Personal experience that I'll share my personal experience. I sold my house 6 months ago. I had a price point in mind. The day I put the house on the market, I did market research and found out 0 houses were available on sale in my market. 0. All while I was getting my house ready to go on the market, there were 3, 4, 5. The day I went live, 0. I raised my purchase price $50,000 that day and had a full price offer within 24 hours. Do you have that sort of knowledge, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? And feel free to use my story, right? That's a fact story that was happened to me. And that's because I'm on the inside and I could see what was happening in the market. So
Wonderful. This
you
is
know.
exactly what I needed. Thank you.
Yeah. And so it's just questions. Are you comfortable letting strangers in your house? Do you vet them? Do you make sure you're pre-qualified before you start talking to them? Do you get I always say, great, you're going to sell it yourself. Are you going to move your printer to the front door? Why? Well, you're going to take a copy of the license of everyone that you show the house to, right? Is your family going to be home while you're doing showings to strangers? Do you know that home seller theft and home seller crime is on the rise? Open house theft is on the rise. You're going to let strangers in your house and not take a copy. See, when we list your home, we require that not only do we have the identity of the people that are showing the houses, they're pre-qualified. So we know they can afford your house. Just curious, if you're willing to do all those things, awesome. Right? So I 100%. And if you don't know what questions to ask, get with a mentor or someone that has years of experience in the market and write down a list of questions that you can ask and add them to your listing presentation.
Thank you so much.
My
Look,
pleasure.
Shannon chimed in. She had a FSBO she was working with that was going to sell on their own, and she ended up getting, it looks like almost $50,000 more by taking the listing and carrying it for them. Good job, Shannon. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the same story, right? You just got $40,000 more, which paid for your commission and put more money in their pocket than they thought. Here's the other thing. How are they going to handle when the appraisal comes in too low? What expertise do they have at negotiating that? Because guess what? These people that get full asking price very often are having to navigate that. I've navigated hundreds of those. Hundreds. By the way, none of them fell apart. None. All of them continued on towards closing, but it takes the expertise of agents to be able to navigate that hurdle. Pilar, hey, Pilar, I've left you a couple of messages. I'd love to chat with you when you get a chance. Thanks for showing up today.
She said yes.
Any other questions before we wind up? And thank you all for those that have stayed. I love this business. Listen, I only coach right now, but if we were going into this market and I was actively selling, I would be like this. Because this is a market where skill's going to matter. And if you've got skill or you can develop it this year, not only will you do well this year, you will take market share, which means you will go and take business from the agents that don't have skill. Now, I'm not about non-win-wins, and I'm not about being greedy, and I'm not telling you to put your agent colleagues out of business, but those with skill will win.
Mhm.
And this is the time where you can use skill and you can win. And this is a real delicious time for real estate agents that are willing to develop their skill to go get market share and to go get listings. And by the way, it's not rocket science. You can have zero skill today, and you can start calling the people in your phone today badly. And in 30 to 60 days, you will figure out by doing it how to have the conversations.
Mhm.
Maybe you screwed up a couple, but you will now settle into a comfortable way of talking to your sphere, and it will be okay for you. And by the way, no one else is calling your sphere. Nobody. So it is really an isolated place that you can go and find business. You just have to develop the skill of how to have that conversation.
Debbie, let me ask you this, because a lot of people commented they were going to work on their sphere of influence. Is that something you just kind of recommend they like randomly approach, or is it a consistent thing so that they can develop those skills? What's the best way to do it besides not doing it?
All of these things are daily or weekly activities. If you're doing the golden letter and you're sending out 10 to 20 at a time, and I do recommend handwriting the address, at least the address part, maybe not the return label, but at least the address part. Got to do 10 a day, like for the rest of this year. 10 a day, 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 10 a day. If you're going to call your sphere of influence, 10 a day, 10 a day, 10 a day. If you're going to do farming, you got to put together a farming plan, a 12-month farming plan. Let's say it's one postcard a month. You have to spend time every month creating the postcard, getting it mailed out, and then you have to commit to doing that once a month for 12 months. If it's video content, it's got to be sequential. One a week, 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 one a month, one a month, one a month. I'm not saying that it has to be, but it has to be consistent. And by doing it over and over again, even social media posting, you all know and see those agents that are posting regularly on social media, something other than, here's my listing, congrats to my buyers, here's my listing, congrats to my buyers. They start building a social media presence. And over time, they start to get business, whatever it is. That's why I said pick 3 and just say, these are going to be the 3, and I'm not going to stop them this year. And if I do it 6 months and I have no results, I'm going to start actually, you should, if you have no results, maybe not from the golden, from any of them, 2 or 3 months in, if you're not getting results, go find people that are doing it successfully and say, hey, I think I'm missing something. I'm not getting results. How do you do it? Because our community will share. Not everyone in our community will share. I promise you everyone on this call would, because the people that show up that want to learn are also people that are willing to share, because learners are always willing to share what they know. So get help. If it's not working, get help, but don't change it and say, oh, I did it 2 months, it's not working. It's consistency. I heard Gary Vaynerchuk say 3 posts a day for 500 posts before you make a decision that it's not working.